Welcome everyone to our Alfasoft online demo day, and thank you for joining us for today's webinars. My name is Torgrim Sandvold, and I'm the product manager for statistics and data analysis tool here at our Norwegian office. In the next webinar, we will be presenting Citavi, and I also think we will be presenting Nvivo, also a mix. And the presentation will be given by Stacy Penner. But before we start, just a little housekeeping. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the question box in the GoToWebinar panel on your right. We will try to answer them during the presentation, and hopefully we will have some time at the end of the presentation to take your questions. You will all be muted during the presentation to avoid any audio problems. And please note, we will be recording this webinar, and both the recording and the question and answers will be answered and made available to you afterwards. We will send you all an email with links to the recordings, the question and answers, and any related resources. With that, I will hand over the screen to you, Stacey.
Excellent.
Good luck with your presentation.
Thank you. So hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today, and thanks Alfasoft for inviting me to present. So I'm going to be talking about how to speed up the publishing process by using Citavi and Nvivo. And just a little bit about me, Stacy Penna. I'm the product and community director here at QSR. I work with both Citavi and Nvivo. I've been with QSR for over 10 years. Did my qualitative research dissertation using Invivo, and was really excited when we brought Citavi into our portfolio, because I think it's a piece of software that is very complementary to use with Invivo also. At the end, I'll talk about some upcoming community events that you're welcome to attend too. So first off, what I'll be discussing today is, introducing Citavi and Nvivo. So we're talking about how using Citavi and Nvivo can help with the publishing process. I'll demo Citavi and then how Citavi integrates with Nvivo. So first off, this is sort of interesting data that our QSR research director, Silvana Di Gregorio, found in Scopus. So when we searched for articles that cite Nvivo, there was over 15,000. And the reason I bring this up is if you're doing any type of qualitative or mixed methods research, you can probably find an example somewhere where people used Nvivo, because people are always asking us, how do I use Nvivo for grounded theory or for mixed methods? And so these are good sources to look into. And when we look at the top 4 QDA solutions out there, including Nvivo, we're cited 63% more of the time in articles. Now, when we're using Citavi for our referencing and writing solution, people use it in these ways. So it helps you search through your databases, whether you have your own PDF files or catalogs, or you're going to websites to find your resources or references. And it can bring in references and full text. It also will help you analyze those by helping you, pick out quotes or comments that you want to bring into your literature, and also helps you outline. So this is one of the big things for me with the writing process that it does that other reference management softwares don't, is that it'll help you create an outline for your article, your dissertation, your book, to help you organize that. And then of course it helps you cite, and I think it's over 11,000 citation sources. So Citavi will have that, the one that you're using most likely. And then of course, it'll help you with the final paper with the citations. Now, just to show how Nvivo and Citavi can help you with your publishing and writing process. So both softwares can help you collect sources. So Citavi has this it's called a picker. I'll show you how to use that, where you can get articles from your databases or on the web. They both help you organize in Citavi's case, your reference, your task planner, and then Nvivo will help you with your own data. So if you think of Citavi as helping you with your secondary sources, so the references you're looking up, the articles, and Invivo is helping you with your primary resources. So the data you're collecting, your interviews, focus groups, images, or really anything non-numeric. It will also then help you, both will help you with your literature review. So Citavi with organizing the writing of literature and finding those references, and then Invivo will go beyond that and help you pick out key things you want to write about, which I'll show you. They both help with note taking. They both can help you with collaborating. So both have tools where you can collaborate with your team, and then of course helping you with writing the process. So Citavi has a word add-in I'll show how to use, and then of course to help with your final publication. So the big picture here, if you think of Citavi as helping you with your secondary sources and Invivo your primary sources, and they intersect when it's helping you with your lit review, taking notes, and really with the writing process too. We should add that as a third. So now what I'll do is I'll go first into Citavi and then show how Invivo can help too. So I'm in Citavi, and I want to create a new project. So you can either create a cloud project or a local project that's saved on your desktop or on your computer. The cloud projects are great if you're working as a team, because then you can share the Citavi projects. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a project and call it creativity, because that's the articles that I'm looking at. And it comes in. So here I have my blank Citavi project, and I'll show you the layout as we go, because it'll make more sense as I add things. So first I'm going to go to references here, and I want to import some of my references that I already have in a folder on creativity. So I'm going to go to import, and they are PDF files. So I'm going to choose that. And I want to find the folder, so I'll browse. And I have it under documents. And I want to bring in this whole folder, and I'm copying it into Citavi. And I do want to bring all these in. And you can see that it's getting it ready to be brought into Citavi. So I'm going to ask Citavi to bring all these in. So I'm going to add to project, and I do want to bring in the keywords too, because that might be helpful to me at some point. So you can see here now the layout. So I have under references, I have all my articles. It's showing me the metadata here, the author, the title, where it came from, the volume, the year it was published. Typically I need to make this larger so I can read it, but then the article comes into on the right. And so in this case, before I start reading the articles, I want to start setting up my outline for the article I'm writing about creativity. So to do that, I'm going to go to the knowledge organizer here, and I'm just going to start setting up categories. So I know I'm going to have an introduction. I'm going to have my literature. And I'm going to have my methods. Findings, and then my conclusion. Now, I know under the literature, I'm going to have subcategories. So I'm going to already create a subcategory for creativity, and then another one for boredom. All right, so now I have that organized, and now I want to go back to my references, and I want to start reading through them. So I'm going to make this, I'm just going to collapse this so I can read it better. I'll just make this larger. Actually, I want to go to this one. So I want to go down, And I'm going to just start reading through here. And I want to go materials and methods. So I'm like, okay, so this is, I think, going to be important for my methods section and that I just created my knowledge organizer. So I'm going to highlight it, and I have different options here. So I could create this as a direct quote, which would be, I'd write from the article. An indirect quote, I can do a summary or a comment. So in this case, I'm going to create this as a summary. And you can see it's highlighted in green, and I can give it a name. So it already says it's participants and the procedure. So I'll have a title of that, so I'll know what it's about. And then I could write my own summary about this right here. So this is important. Like I could type that in. I can also then right away put it into the method section here. So that I know that it's right there. So if I go to the knowledge organizer, you can see I have it right there in the methods. But I could also go through and create. Maybe I'll do this as a direct quote. Direct quote. And I want to put this in this case, I'm going to put it under creativity. And you'll see that again in the knowledge organizer. But I also, while I'm doing this, I'm thinking about, okay, I need to think about, I just want to go to the reference. I want to also maybe assign tasks to either my team members or myself as I go and work with in this project. So maybe I want to go here and I want to assign myself a task about this. So they're talking about data analysis, and I want to look at more, I want to review more, so I can create my own review more data on this. And I'm going to do it as a medium task, and I want to make sure I do this by November 30th. So this has been assigned to me. And when I go to tasks, you'll see it's located there. But I could also assign team members tasks. So maybe one thing I want to do is make sure that with this, that we're going through all the metadata. So that to make sure that this is, I have all the important information I need. So assign that in this reference section to make sure that within Citavi, the numbers are correct, the page numbers, all that is correct. So I might assign that to a team member. In this case, I don't have it set up for a team in the cloud, but I could do that if I wanted to. So I could assign it to somebody else. So that's when I bring PDFs in myself. I already have them in a folder, but I can also bring in references from the web. So here I'm on Google Scholar, and I found this article from, looks like I think it might be CDC, or Education, Department of Education. So I want to bring this in. So you can see the little Citavi symbol here. So that means this is the Citavi picker. So it's an add-on you can put on your browser. So I'll just go here and I'll click on the Citavi symbol, and it's already brought that into my Citavi project. So you can see here, it's right here. So that's the article. So it brings in all the references here. And it also shows me the article that I can read. So again, that's really handy. So you could go to any database, PubMed, EBSCO, or anything that you have a license for, and bring in the articles you want here. I did want to show you one more thing. I forgot to show you that how to also bring in images. So there's a lot of charts in this resource, so a reference. So I can click on the little symbol here, and I can pick this, and image quotation will come in. And again, I can add this to a category. So in this case, I want to add it to, I'll just add to boredom. Click OK. And then again, when I go to the knowledge organizer, you'll see that there. So that's pretty handy. It has all, a lot of information underneath it, and then I can, bring that into my final report or publication. So this is a high-level view of what Citavi can do, but you can see how it can be really helpful because it brings in all your references that you need. It can, organize those. You can start thinking about what you want to put into the final paper, organize it, and then also bring in the references by direct quote, indirect, or summary into the knowledge organizer. And then also you could assign yourself tasks or your team tasks to keep you organized throughout your process of your writing process. So now what I want to do is I want to export this project so I can bring it into Invivo. So to do that, I'm going to go to References here and go to Export. And I do want to bring all 5 in. So I'll go to Next. And I want to bring it into the Invivo format. So I want to bring it on my desktop here. Oh, I didn't make a name. Okay, so the export was complete, great. So now I'll go into Invivo. So with Invivo, I'm going to create a new project. And just to orientate you to Invivo, so in Invivo, we have 3 different sections in the navigation panel. So one is all about the data that you're going to import. So that could be your own data, your interviews, focus groups, but in this case, I'm going to import the literature I want to analyze. It has an organization section, which is all about helping you organize your coding, the cases, your units of analysis, the notes you might want to write, like memos. And then the explore section helps you with queries and visualization and reports. The white space is your working space, and then up here you have different tabs to help you work within the software. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to data, and typically I will have different files folders. So I'm going to create a new folder and call this literature, because I'm going to bring in the literature from Citavi. But a lot of times I'd have my own data. Quite commonly I would have interviews too, I'd import. So I can start organizing my my project here. So in this case, what I want to do is I want to go to import because I want to bring in that Citavi project. And then I go to bibliography, and I'm going to choose Citavi in this case, the reference management software I'm working with. And here's that project that I exported from Citavi. So I'll open it. And I like to name it by author and date when it comes into Invivo, the references, and I also want to save it to my literature folder. And then I'll import. And you can see that the PDFs have come in. So when it gets imported into Invivo, it does a few things. So it imports the actual PDFs, but it also, if we go to our file classifications and go to references, it also brings in that metadata that was in Citavi. So the year it was published, the journal article, the page number, so you have all that information, and that becomes quite helpful. I'll show you later with some queries we can do. And sorry, I didn't mean to do that. And then it also does one other thing. It brings into the memo section. So if we had any, like that, I'll bring in the abstract from Citavi, we had the keywords or any other maybe notes I had written about the article, which I hadn't done. So those didn't come in, but you can see what automatically comes in from Citavi. Because sometimes people actually like doing the abstracts in Invivo and looking at those first to see, what's key before they go into an article. Now in Invivo, one thing I could automatically just open up a PDF and start reading through it and deciding what are key things I want to go and read. So here, if I go in this article, sorry, I just want to go. So here, states of boredom, so measurement. So maybe I want to highlight that, and I could easily right click and say code selection, and I'd call this boredom and code selection. And then when I go to codes, you'll see it's listed right there. And so when I open up the code, it will show me exactly what I had coded there, and it will always take me back to the original source if I want to check that. Now I could do that, I could read through it, but that there's a lot of ways to jumpstart your analysis in Vivo. So typically what I do before I open up all, the articles one at a time, what I would do is I would go to the Explore tab and I would run a word frequency based on these. So I could select the folder. So in this case, I want all the literature, and I'm going to do the 100 most frequently used words, and so you can see this better, my options. I could do exact matches, stem words, or synonyms. In this case, I'll just do exact, and oops. Okay, now we have 100, and I'll run the query. So it's showing me the top 100 words in the references. I could, if I wanted to add one to the stop words list, I could do that. So the stop words list automatically has like and, the, to, those kind of words. And I can sort of explore the references by creating a visual called a word cloud. So the word cloud is showing me the larger the word, the more often it's used in the references. So there's some interesting things here. They're talking about creativity is pretty big. So let me see, I want to go and see what people are saying about creativity. So I'm going to right click on it and run a text search on creativity. And so I can see, I say 4 out of the 5 articles mention creativity. It will actually show me the references, like what they actually said about creativity. But there's one other visual I really like. So this visual is a word tree. So it's showing me the 5 words before and after creativity. So for example, if I click on low, it shows where that's coming from, creativity activity. And if I go down here, let's see what else is saying. Assessment, creativity during different times, have in individuals, and so on. So I could maybe say, so they're traits of creativity that might be of interest to me. So I'm going to click on traits and right click again and run another text search, and the software will help me see what did they say in regards to trait and creativity. So again, I get all the references that are talking about this. Now, Typically, this is not enough information for me, 5 words before and after, so I like to broaden the context with the coding spread to, so now I get a paragraph so I can read, understand better what they're talking about. Now, because the software just did a lot of work for me, instead of me going through all the references and trying to find this phrase, I'm going to save it as a code. So I'm going to select and put it in my codes folder. I could give it a description and click OK. And then you'll see, so you can see the code is created and now it's in my codes right here. So there's 21 references to this topic. So that's one way to jumpstart. Another way is Invivo also has auto coding. So if I go here to all the references and I pick all of them, I'm now going to go to autocode. Now there's 3 choices for autocoding: autocode by theme, or you could autocode by sentiment, or we have existing coding patterns. So if you code about 15% of your references, Invivo will pick up what you're coding and learn from that and help you code the rest. But I'm going to identifying themes and I'll go to next. So it's going through all my references. And it's finding noun and noun phrases to create codes. So you can see the list of the codes and the subcodes. I don't have to bring all this in. I could, if I wanted to unclick one. I'm going to go to next, and I could either code by sentences or paragraphs. I'll just stick with sentences right there. And it does put it in a special folder, so it keeps the auto coding away from your own coding, which typically is helpful because you might not want to bring all that into your own coding. You might want to just pick some. So I'll finish, and it's going to give me a couple visuals once it gets done analyzing this. So first I get a hierarchical chart, which is sort of a nice visual, so I could go and see what are the key nouns and noun phrases when people talk about boredom or in the references. I could always double click on a cell and it will take me to the coding. I also have a chart or table, which I like seeing because it shows all the different references, and it highlights with the heat map what are the key codes here that the software picked out. So analysis, boredom's big. So again, this might be a way for you to look at your references with your lit review to really pull out, oh, well, these are key things that it seems important in these references. So maybe I want to start coding there and looking at those first. You can also do some queries. So now I've brought in my my metadata right under the references here, which I showed you. So I have like the date of publication, and I've done some coding with the auto coding too. So I want to go here to explore and do a cross tab query. So I'm just going pick some codes. So I'm going go to the auto coding actually, because it actually has more coding in it. So I'm going pick boredom and creative. And because I have that metadata in the references, I'm going to ask it to compare by year. So are there, certain years of publication? So right now it's showing me the files coded, but I want to go to coding references, and I'll do a heat map so it's easier to see. So I can see, so in these years, more people talked about boredom than creativity. I mean, this might not tell you what you need, but it's just a way to look at the references in a different way. This can be exported if you want to put in a final report. You can create charts based on it. and so on. All right. And then another way this integrates with Citavi is if I go to my, let's see, let's pick one of the autocoding. So if I go to creative here and I open this code, so I have a fair amount of references, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to export the code to a Word document. So I have my Word document, and you can see I have a Citavi add-in in the Word. So when I click on that, it'll bring the Citavi symbol. So I'll go to the Citavi pane, and I want to go to this project. So you can see it has my references right here. So one thing I can do, there's a couple things I can do. So I could start organizing the outline here. So I can insert this into the outline, actually into the Word document if I want. Oh, I think as I pick, so let me insert. So you can see I could start organizing what I had in Citavi into this Word document based on this coding. So actually this is creativity, so I probably don't want that. Let me get rid of that. So yeah, it brought in. Let me bring in the creativity right there. And so I can bring in that information. So, and then if I go to knowledge, I can actually bring in the information I had in Citavi here. So let's say I want to bring that in here. And so you can see it brought in that, in this case, look like a direct quote, and it has the actual, the citations that I need. So again, if I had something with methods, I could bring that. But you can see how, and maybe I don't want all this that I coded from Invivo, but maybe I want, I can always cut and copy and organize it in the Word document. So again, it jump starts my writing. Oops, sorry, just move the menu. So to me, this is would be a great tool, because when I used Invivo for my dissertation, I'd export the codes, but now I could integrate my literature review with the coding I did and bring everything together. And I just want to show at the end. So if I go to the end of this, sorry, I was just having a hard time with the, oh, there it is. Okay. It will also start building my publication bibliography too here. So because I did one, can bring, I just brought in the image too. You can do that. So, probably shouldn't have put that in there. I'd have to move it. Let me actually delete that. But I can add the publication bibliography, and right now it's set to Citavi default style. But like I said, there's over 11,000 styles you can pick from in Citavi. So if I change it to the APA, it will reformat it for me. So you can see how this can be, a helpful tool, not only to help. So with the two together, it can help you with your citations, your reference management, but also with the writing process within Invivo, using Invivo to then analyze the literature at a higher level. The last thing, and just because I wanted to show you one other thing you can do in Invivo. This is a project, so this is a sample project we have on how to use Invivo as a literature review. And we have some maps that I just want to show you. So you can also show what you're working on with your lit review visually. So this is the strategy with the literature review, because sometimes you have to explain that to maybe your advisor or to editors. So again, you can create these types of visuals in Invivo too that can be exported and put into a report or sent to someone. This is another visual showing based on, these are codes where they came from the different articles. So again, there's a lot of ways to play with Invivo with your literature review or resources, references if you would like. So I'm just going to go back to the PowerPoint real quick. So this is the different items that I showed you that's in the handout if you'd like the handout, just to remind what was shown. I also wanted to let you know with the different community events. So we have 2 webinar series. One is on scholarly writing. So these are actually going, which I need to change, going through April now. So we have some new people that jumped on that are going to be talking about best writing practices. And then we also have analyzing qualitative research after the interview. So we have a lot of well-known qualitative researchers that are going to be conducting webinars on specific topics. And again, this is also around best practices, but with qualitative research. If you'd like to join the community, you can go to our website or this link or have this link and join. And if you join, that means I can send you information about the webinars. And I also have a podcast that you can easily find on any podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, and others. And also to help you connect, we have research network meetings. This month, we're talking about how to use Invivo for visual insights. Trainers run those. We have a community online forum where you can talk to other users, and we have a funding opportunity. So we do have a grant for 25,000 US dollars over a 2-year period that is open till November 30th. So you still have time to apply for the grant too. And if you want to try Citavi, we do have a 30-day trial. And then these are great links. There's a lot of good resources on the website teaching you how to use Citavi. So I'm happy to take questions. I know ending a little early, but happy to take questions.
Yeah, thank you for the great presentation. We have our product expert on Nvivo and our product manager for Citavi, Gustav and Marit, with us. I don't know, Gustav and Marit, do you have any questions?
Yeah, actually, hi, Stacy. We had one question coming in asking, can I import the knowledge elements I created in Citavi into Nvivo? Can you say something about that maybe?
You actually can. So what's really cool, we have an Invivo certified expert, and she's a Citavi champion, so she knows both softwares very well. And we have a webinar, which I wish I'm still learning how to do it, but she did figure out you could export the Citavi knowledge organizer in a format that Invivo could read, and then basically it was into like a Word document with headings, but all the information you had in the knowledge organizer then could be imported into Invivo. I have her video of doing that, so I can send that to you if you want to share it with people. And I need to learn it better myself, and I'm sorry I didn't do it before this presentation, but yes, you can do it. There's a workaround right now. Eventually we'll have something like that, like seamless to do. That's one of the goals with QSR, is to have more integration with Citavi and Invivo. But I can, let me know if you want me to send that video to you, Merritt.
That sounds great, I guess.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Could you also maybe say a little bit more about working in a team in Citavi
Mhm.
and or in Nvivo? Any suggestion for that? Because I have realized that this is a question that we get a lot from our Citavi customers. If you would like to say something about that.
Sure. So right now it would be separate from the softwares. Maybe going forward, we'll have something where you can work with both sort of at the same time, but we're not there yet. So for Citavi, so I'm in a local project, so I could though save this project to the cloud and then allow other people to access it. So you can do that with a desktop, Citavi 6. But we also have Citavi Web, which is a cloud-based product. So you could then work as a team. So I've done that with our research director, Silvana. It's very easy to use, but the Citavi Web would probably be your best option if you had a large, or teams typically are like 5 to 10 people, but they were dispersed around. I would suggest trying Citavi Web, and then you'd be able to work in the project in the cloud and actually see what people are doing in the project too. So that's for Citavi. For Invivo, I was showing you our desktop product. So you can work with Invivo a couple ways as a team. So one way is, sort of, so let's say I have 3 people on my team. So I'm the project manager. I'm going to create the first Invivo project like you saw me do, but then I need to make a copy of it. So if I go to File and I go to Copy Project, I could create a copy of the project. I'm just not going to do it now, but it's easy to do. Copy of the project for my other 2 members on my team. So I typically would give the name of the project and add their initials to it, so I know who I'm giving which project to. And then what you can do is you can you'd have to send it to them over some kind of share drive. They would download it on their own computer, work in it, and then when you want to see how everyone's worked together, you would go to import and go to project, and then you would need to browse and find their projects and merge them together. So that's one way. Another way is if I go to modules here, we have Collaboration Cloud. And this just makes it a lot easier for you to share projects. And I'll bring it up. This is a separate product from Invivo. And when you buy Collaboration Cloud, it allows up to 5 people to have access to the projects in Collaboration Cloud. So you can see I'm in here. I have one project. You can assign different roles. So I'm the workspace manager, which means I have control of the projects. I can merge projects. Christy here is a collaborator, so she can just work in the projects and let me know when they're ready to be merged. So if I go to, so what happens here is you upload the first project. So I'd browse and go find the project I want to upload to the cloud. I can give it a summary. I don't know, for first project, whatever you want to write. Maybe I want to write notes. This is nice too because you can communicate with your team members. So I can say, code all interviews, that kind of thing. And then I can upload this. It will also then keep track of the versions, which is another thing that's helpful, where if you do the first way I mentioned, it gets a little confusing for people with the different versions, but this way I can keep track of what's been happening with the versions when I share them. This is where you can select users and their roles to join and so on. So this is a nice way to help you organize the sharing process and the merging process with Invivo. We also have one other product called Invivo server for Teams, which is a dedicated, it has to be put on a dedicated server at your location. But with that, you actually can work in the same project at the same time simultaneously. And I forgot to mention, Citavi has the same thing called BD server. So again, a dedicated server at your organization, but then you can work in projects together also simultaneously. Those two are really helpful with secure if you have can't use the cloud and you need more security. So sorry that was a long answer, but hopefully it was helpful.
No, that was absolutely perfect. Maybe one more question coming back to the combination of Citavi and Nvivo. I think you highlighted very well that Citavi is mainly for the literature or the secondary sources, and Nvivo is maybe for your primary sources, and then there can be a mix. What do you think? Is there like a best practice as where to start, or would you say people can start using Citavi and looking for the literature just at the same time as they jump into the literature analysis or in the primary sources analysis? Would you recommend maybe in the Nvivo project? I know this is a lot of questions, but would you recommend in your Nvivo project to have your literature at the side of your empirical data? Is there something that you can recommend to everyone?
I guess I always say there's never a right way or wrong way to use software because it's just a tool to help you. So I know people use it, in many different ways. I think I could say how I would probably do it is I would probably definitely typically when you're working on an article or a dissertation or a thesis, you're starting with the literature, right? Because that's where you have to write. When I know with dissertation, your proposal is generally your first 3 chapters, and the literature is a big part of that. So I might start with Citavi and starting to organize my references. But I think it'd be okay even as you go to bring in some of those references into Invivo if it's helpful, because you can see how powerful Invivo was to really go through that data at a high level to pull things out. And so I would do that. So start organizing in Citavi and even reading through the literature, because I can, and I apologize, I can show the video of how to bring in that knowledge organizer into Invivo, so you have all that, because then it does create what's in the knowledge organizer into codes. But one other thing to think about is, so if I have my own data, right, because as I collect my own data, which would be the interviews here, which I don't have any right now, I have my literature that's important to me in Invivo, but I can then also, and this is what I did, I can create a folder called my findings. So now I have what the expert said in my literature folder about my topic that I've coded. And oh, sorry, I meant to do this in codes. That doesn't make sense if I do it that way. So let me do this. So if I have codes, let me do this again. So I have my literature codes based on what I found I want to write about with the references I brought in. I'd have my my thematic coding based on my own data, and people have many strategies on how to code. And then I also had my folder for my findings. And why I did that, why this was really helpful, is I had what was in my secondary, and I'm sorry, my primary data, the data I coded, I found these were key things I want to write about. But I also had what was important for my literature too, right next to it. So then I could start bringing in both of these into my findings folder. So to help me write my findings. So that's how I think of it. I think of it as a process. So start with Citavi, bringing it in, but you also want to have Invivo so that you can start analyzing the literature at a higher level, so that at the end you have everything in one place in Invivo to help you with the findings. And what's cool also with the findings, because I'll have those in codes, like I showed, you can export it to a Word document and then start using the Citavi knowledge organizer also to help you bring in the citations into the findings section.
Great, thank you. I don't think that there are more questions. Or Torgrim, did you see any more questions?
No, I think you have covered them all, Marit. Thank you. And if we end the presentation there, I actually have a few minutes to switch over to the next, our last webinar for today. So I think that's good.
Great. Well, thank you for inviting me, and hopefully it was helpful. And I'll get that video to you, Merit, to help with the bringing the
Thank
knowledge
you.
organizer in.
Great. I'm excited to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Great. All right,
Yeah.
great, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you again, Stacy.